This has been said time and time again, but we live in a world where the presence of violence in video games is constantly being blamed for other people's actions. Whether it be actual crimes, or the developer removing elements that make it violent. The decisions for Wolfenstein Youngblood seem more politically correct, rather than outright leadership choices. These are the same people who brought us the reimagining of Wolfenstein, Bioshock 2, Dishonored, and Prey. So how is it that all of a sudden they forget why people enjoyed their games? It's not because of violence. However, both Machine Games and Arcane Studios have made a name for themselves with violent video games. Our rating systems are constantly being exploited by governments to hike up a game's rating, the means for categorizing who's legally allowed to purchase media. How does a game like Youngblood fall under the same high-impact violence category as The New Order or The New Colossus? They are vastly different in graphic violence. One is arcadey with Left 4 Dead 2 OG-level gore, yeah, remember those days? With the others having genuine gore decals that stay there.
Look at this! How strange!
Let's get into a bit of random, shall we? This'll make you laugh. I haven't seen this in the news yet, but remember the backlash surrounding Hotline Miami 2 RC rating? Well, looks like the original has been classified again, and now has an RC rating. What the fuck? Alright, back to Wolfenstein Youngblood. What's the point if everything they're being classified for is removed, when the developer treats them as an arcade experience with less graphic depictions of violence? I say that because this shows an outright abuse of the rating system to push a rating that the panel thinks it should be under. Let me ask you this. How is Max Payne 3 MA15 Plus still? Now, granted, I've always hated our rating system here in Australia, purely because of their biasness towards certain franchises. Now I say this because this notion of giving a game an R18 plus rating, then to have everything that classes it as such be removed by the developer, in this case gore, what's the point of fighting ratings if you're not going to stand your ground as a developer? Remember when devs actually cared? Yeah, me either. So for a bit of context as to why I'm a bit annoyed by this game in particular, I don't play multiplayer games much these days, but when I see a new game that has co-op as an option, I'm all over that shit. But what shits me off the most is when companies force co-op onto the player, but not only that, online co-op. Then design the game around cheap mechanics that were designed and used in last-gen games. Not to mention, their idea of teamwork is to have two characters that weren't mentioned in any of the prior games and generate a story from that.
Fuck yeah, Jess, you're slaying it!
Firstly, why make it forced co-op? And secondly, what the fuck is up with this point system? Did you forget what makes Wolfenstein its own brand? If you leave out Doom comparisons, that is. The idea of a spin-off is fine, if it fits within the same structure without changing the gameplay, and they somehow fail to do both. This isn't supposed to be a review by any means. It's more supposed to be my feelings or opinions about some of the shit developers get up to these days. I'm not going to get into the politically correctness of this whole thing, because I don't have an issue with that. Females, awesome. But what I do have an issue with is the fact that they're using these suits, right? But then require me to get someone else, or in this case the other character, to be involved in opening a f***ing crate. What? Though I do, however, have an issue with changing the gameplay to a back and forth questathon that makes gameplay utter boring and borderline insulting to players who purchase the game. Granted, I'm family sharing, but still, same point applies. If I'm honest, I miss the countless hours of non-bullet spongy Nazi killing. Spilling Nazi blood and guts all over the place is what Wolfenstein is known for, or at least the previous games were. Yes, including the 2009 version, but here's why I think the gore may have been removed. I could be wrong, but it's the only likely scenario that I could come up with in 5 minutes. Because this installment's entirely online co-op, or at least that's how it was designed, and decals for each player requires a few more lines of code that the developer didn't want to write, well, it probably resulted in unpredictable decal behavior. Newsflash, dudes. Have you ever played any online games ever? It happens. It's fine. A game without blood decals, though, these days, just seems super backwards. I wanted to talk about microtransactions here, but there's been a few people on the YouTube that have spoken about this subject, so I'll just leave a few links to old mate Jimmy Sterling. However, when it comes to reducing the price of a game targeted towards fans for a particular franchise, such as Wolfenstein, but also to shoehorn co-op mechanics into it as a result, is baffling to me. Like I said previously, I'm always down for co-op, when it's done right. A game that did the whole forced co-op thing correctly, mind you, was A Way Out, where the developer Hazelight actually thought about what each character's function within the scene would be, whilst alienating most of the same shitty co-op mechanics as everything else.
Is that why you called me over?
Yeah, sorry.
Wolfenstein Youngblood is an okay game, but compared to something like A Way Out, it seems like more of a $20 throwaway title that can't match something like The Old Blood, which is also cheaper. Now, why are there laptops that tell you about new mechanics? Pretty sure you learn diegetic gameplay as Game Design 101. So, could you not find another way to showcase your game mechanics? Some of them are also repeated from level 1. Learn mechanics by reading pointless laptops rather than playing. No? Anyway, before I sign off, what's with games that have collectibles removing the option to go back to individual levels and find, the collectibles you missed? I'd rather not play the entire game again, thank you, just for things that I may have missed along the way. Stop doing that, please. It's rather annoying. It's more about excluding player choice, like previous Wolfenstein games. You could choose which level you wanted to play after you beat the game, or even if you just wanted to play other levels instead of continuing, you could. Why is this feature being removed? How about you remove collectibles and stop being a pain when you add them? How about that? Let me know in the comments below what annoys you about games these days. See ya.